Hello and welcome back to the workshop where we're starting our new series on extending East Coast cement. We had I had a good idea and I think the team might be on board, maybe. Of course, yes, there we go. Full commitment to the project here. So East Coast cement extension, we're adding 12 foot to it. We're going to build a new station scene to expand the layout. We're going to stick with the East Coast theme as well. And I think it's going to be great fun. Now, there is good news, Mark.
What's that?
We've got some things already made for it. So I stole the station building. Ben has already built a footbridge for reviews, which we can use. And I've been busy in the workshop building a whole pile of baseboards. So there is more good news, though, Mark.
Go on.
I get to do my favourite thing next. Shopping. I've already been working on a shopping list on TMC's website on their trunk service. And I need to finish that off and get everything ordered and make the most of their next day delivery service so we can really motor on with this. Because there is one really important fact I haven't really mentioned at this point. Did you know how when we first talked about this, we had 8 weeks to go until the shop?
We did, yes.
We now have 6.
6
weeks, 12 hour extension.
We'll do it. We always do.
Yes. Right. Shopping.
Oh, and don't forget the track pins.
They would help.
And the straw for the cow's bag.
Shopping.
So you're building a model railway. Here at TMC The Model Centre we cater for all your modelling needs, whether that's Pico track, Woodland Scenics accessories, even DCC Concepts layout control. And as you'll see behind me, we have a very small selection of one of many different brands we stock, such as Oxford Diecast, Hornby, Bachmann, even a Curascale. Take a look at our website to see the full range of our products. And don't forget, every Friday we upload our new pre-owned listings if you'd like to save a little bit more on your layout build. Perhaps you're stuck with an aspect of railway modelling, or any other aspect of modelling for that fact. Our customer service team is just an email or a phone call away. For everything else, you can visit our website at themodelcentre.com, and if you're passing in the area near Beckhole, Whitby, pop in and see our showroom.
So it's now time for the best part of any model railway build, which is shopping. So we've partnered with TMC, who have been supporting our build for East Coast Cement. We're using their services to make sure we get a quick delivery, because we've got next day delivery options. We've already done some shopping already, so it's in a trunk service there. We're going to add to that order now, get it all complete, and then we can get all that sent away to us so we can crack on with getting the East Coast Cement layout build underway and meet our Great Electric Train Show deadline, which is really not that far away. So they do a wide range of Pico track products on the TMC website. You've got all their double O gauge, N gauge, O gauge, and all the narrow gauge scales as well. For this layout, we're going to use the Code 75 range. So I'm going to search in here for the SL102F track that we need, which is the concrete sleeper track. We need a full box of that. So we'll add one of those to our cart. Now, one of the things to mention here as well is they do have multi-buy discounts for the Pico and DCC Concepts track and equipment as well. So if you buy more than one, you can actually get a bit of a discount for buying multiple boxes, which is really handy when you're building a big layout like we are. So we also need some standard wooden sleeper track as well for our layout build, which is SL100F from the Pico range. And because we've got a rather large storage yard and some parts of the scenic section, we need the standard wooden sleeper track. I'm going to need more than one box of that, so I'm going to put a couple of those into the basket today. We'll put 2 of those in, there's plenty in stock. Then we need some points as well, so we need SLE196, which is one of the medium radius points. We need one of those, we need a right hand one of those, and also with TMC as well, you do get the choice of buying either brand new or second hand points as well, so do have some slightly cheaper options in their options as well for points. We're going to have one of these. We need a right hand medium radius point, which is that one just there. I'm going to go with one of the pre-owned ones, save a little bit of money, add that to the cart. And then we need some rail joiners, can't live without those. SL-110. I'm going to need multiples of those, so let's just get rid of our cart there. We can add those to the cart. We need about 10 packs of those. As you can see, we've got a 10% discount on each of those by using the multi-buy discount. And then to complete our shopping list at the moment, I need a couple more items. I need SL111, which is the insulated rail joiners. couple of packs of those. And then we need ST280, which is my favourite pack of track pins. Need one of those because we can't live without track pins. Then for the overheads, we need to use the Pico system. So it's LC100, I think, is the code for the packs. There we go. So you order one of those. Add that to the cart. And then the last bits I've got to add in there is going to be the overhead catenary wire spanners to go with those masts as well. And then we can double check the order. If we wanted to, we could use the trunk service, so we can actually hold all this. We keep adding things to this over a period of a week, so that actually the order gets built up over a bit of time, and then TMC will send it out to us when we're ready. As it is today, I'm going to finish this off right now because we need those products tomorrow. Overnight rapid delivery service. Layout assembled, and that is a good step forward.
It is.
And even better is the overnight delivery service has been working well too, and we've got a whole pile of products to get cracking with this layout from
Exciting.
CMC. My shopping worked well, and I did remember the track pins.
Good call.
So come finally straw that, Mark. So you'll be all right.
It's
Won't break
okay.
your back.
It's early days.
So inside here, which we'll go through in a minute, is all the track and all the components we need to actually get all the layout assembled. Now, there's more than we need just for this section here, because one of the important parts of this build isn't just about putting 12 foot in the front, which I may have failed to mention at this point. There is also another 12 foot to put at the back of the layout as well.
Yeah, that did go through my mind, because otherwise it
with
would
the train storage,
be interesting coming to fit it together at a show, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be one giant leap for every train.
Yeah.
But, so there is a lot of track for someone to volunteer to lay for that. Okay, I'm laying the track for that as well then. We've also been shopping in our own warehouse as well, and we've got all the platforms here. So we're going to use the concrete lintel platforms and PGM models for this one. I wanted to do something a bit different to what we did with Lanarkside, which used the block edge ones, and I thought it'd be nice to use these really modern platform styles, and they're really simple to put together. We've also got the scaffolding to put into one section as well, which I think will look great.
That'll look good, actually,
in detail as well. So the plan now is by the end of today that we have all the track laid for these 3 new scenic boards. We have all the wiring done for these new 3 scenic boards. We have all the platforms built for these new 3 scenic boards, and we can run a train through it. That is the target for today, right now.
Okay. Well, I volunteered to open the boxes.
Well then, Ben's volunteered to consider things.
Right.
I think we might just have scared him off at this point, looking for the exit, hoping that we're going to stop building layouts at some point this year.
It's going to be fun. It'll be great, and it will all be done by the end of the day.
And excitingly,
Yeah.
I get to play with tools now. Okay, so we're now on to the good bit, which is to start building the layout. But there is a important detail to make sure we get right with this layout, and that's because we're essentially fitting a new section of layout into an old layout, and the track where it comes out of the cement works is coming into the boards at an angle. And it actually goes out pretty much straight at the other end. Now what that means is that I've got to be careful with the track plan to make sure that it looks correct when we got it all laid out. If I get this wrong, it could look very strange. It could have some weird kind of curves happening through the layout which we don't want to see. So the next thing to do is to mock up this mainline plan through here to see how it's all going to fit together and to make sure it does look like it's supposed to do. So it's a case of getting the track out, laying down the plain lines loose on the boards, and assessing what we need to adjust and what we don't need to adjust. Hopefully it'll work like it is in here, because that's where the track plan is. If not, then I'll adjust it and I'll tell you the track plan was as it was when we built it. Right, onwards.
So we've got all this lovely board.
Yes.
How's it going to work with that angle and what have you?
This is my theory of my plan, is that we lay out the track roughly, and actually that angle isn't as steep as I thought it was going to be, to be honest, which is a good thing, because means we can put the kink in straight away there.
Yeah.
And then, in theory, we can go straight into a crossover there, and then we can put that point in there, which I don't like at the minute, but we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
that point I was going to put there, so we've got another lie-by siding down there.
Oh, no, yep, that works.
And then we'll just go plain line all the way through. And if my there'll be a little bit of adjustment required, but the aim is that by the time we get to this end, that it looks like we meant to do it.
Because we've got to consider the fact that when long trains are going at reasonable speed, you don't want the train looking like it's
exactly that, and that
kinking along the track.
That was my worry with this, was that if we got it wrong, we'd have too many random curves in it, and it would just not look right. But actually,
it's
that's
not far
bad.
out, is it?
No, I'm mildly impressed with my plan there.
Yeah.
I've got ever such a slight curve to put into there.
It's almost like you planned it.
Well, I did, but it doesn't mean it's going to work. There is a failure in the plan though.
Which is?
I don't like the position of that point to turn out into the cement works.
Okay.
Which makes me wonder whether I should consider Ben's idea and put a bay platform in here instead, and actually not join the cement works at all. So if we were to do something like this, we'd have to figure this out. But if we were to do this instead, would this fit in and give us a bay platform along there? I have a way of working this out, by the way. And then we keep the cement works completely independent as it was before.
Yeah.
And whiz it straight through the back there. And I have a way of figuring this out.
Okay.
Handy when you've got boxes for the bits. So in here, we've got one of the platforms. So if I just pop this platform deck out, we'll then claim this with the original track landmark.
I get that. My only caveat to that, although it could work, it could actually work quite nicely. There's two things that come to mind.
Okay. Come this way first.
Yes.
You tell me about them on the way.
Number one, would you have a facing point on a fast line like that, or I suppose you probably would.
Well, we can make the platform fit.
And also you've got then to do the catenary across all the junction, but we'd have to do that anyway.
Oh, that's a minor problem. I can deal with that one. It's going to give it a little bit more operational value.
It will.
There is another problem. We have no way of turning a train back on the other side of the layout. No is the answer you're looking for.
Yeah.
No, just no.
But then we haven't actually completed the rest of the track work yet over there, have we? In the middle boards, could we incorporate something into one of them?
We could actually
create something. There might be enough room to just
actually we could do that.
Create a line that could then go back.
Yeah, and I do have another idea. Could go that way.
In fact, we could have two lines that go back, because obviously you'd have one going back with a point to flick.
Bear with me whilst I find my idea.
Just need a Y point or something.
Had another idea, Mark. You know how we like operational things?
Yes.
We've got a point that goes the other way.
Okay.
What about if, as well as having the bay platform, which has already deviated completely from the original track plan, made our life more difficult than we started out being difficult with?
Yes.
What about if we put that in there, and then we had a long dead end siding, and we did a additional facility, and we do a modern loading platform. So we have an aggregates loading siding where you can bring in a rake of JNAs, because I like JNAs. Yeah.
You do.
And you could have them backed into siding here, no point at that end, get rid of that point. And then we could have just a loading platform all the way along there with nice JCB and stuff like that that does all the grabbing and collecting of things. And then you can play with aggregates wagons, we can play with network rail wagons, we can run cement trains past down into cement works, and we can have a whole kind of industrial aggregates.
Could you not keep that point there to give you that extra run round, so that you could bring a train in, leave the wagons, the loco disappears off, comes back? Otherwise, the loco gets stuck down the end there.
Well, I was going to propel the wagons in like they do at some of the sidings.
Oh, I
so
see.
Like, if you look at like Ribble Head, for example, where they've currently got some stone workings coming out in and out of the quarry there.
Yes.
Those trains run past on the main line, and then they actually set back and propel their trains into the yard.
Yes. Would they do that over a level crossing?
We'll say yes, because it's a model.
I'm only asking. I'm going
to employ rule one there.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
Probably not, but that's. I think that could work really nicely, and it would give extra operation as well.
Yeah.
And it would mean that we could have train going in and out of the bay platform doing stopping services. We can have cement trains running in like we always have done.
Yes.
We can have aggregates trains running in to load and load, whichever way around we think we're going to have them happening. And we can have trains whizzing past on the main line.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Planned, right?
Yeah, and if we had this as a bay for a short,
Yeah, 'cause I mean the bay platform doesn't have to be that long. We could take a yard of track off if we wanted, or just leave it as it is.
I think actually you could leave it almost to go towards the end there, because you could probably get a 4-car electric unit or something in there.
Yeah, there is one other problem I've noticed, that realistically, to make this work from a scenic point of view, I need to get rid of that lump of scenery.
Yeah, that needs to come.
But I need
probably.
it if we ever run it at 19-foot length again. But the big question is, are we ever going to run this at 19-foot length again? We're probably not.
Good question.
It's not going to happen, is
But it
it?
depends if it's going to become West Coast cement on occasions and East Coast cement on others.
Well, I think East Coast cement is the way forward for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to look great now with like the Caledonian Sleeper at 12 coaches running through here,
Yeah.
or 9-car Zoomers, full-length HSTs,
Yes.
full-length aggregates trains. This is going to look so much better than it did.
Yeah.
And like I said, you've got space for another 11 trains on the back now.
That's
Plus
true.
a crossover.
Yeah, and we've got extra. I think for want of a better phrase, the play value actually.
Yeah.
By doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
With the extra line here.
Yeah.
And that going on there. I still think you could get away with having a point at each
Yeah, we
end
probably
just for
could
the
actually,
extra
Yeah.
flexibility.
Yeah.
But I think that would work really quite well.
Play value-wise, this works really well now.
Yeah.
And this is a lot better than the layout was.
It gives you more interest as an operator.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I was a little bit concerned about, to be quite honest here, is that actually, if we did just do this 2 straight platforms, so we just had a single track going back and forth to the cement works, it actually didn't really move the layout on very much.
No.
Whereas actually by taking Ben's idea of putting in the bay platform,
Yeah.
partly because my original track plan didn't work as I planned it to, but also because it is a good idea, and actually we introduced aggregate siding at the back and introduced some of that modern way of loading and unloading. So actually they're really simple siding. They're literally a platform which a digger drives up and down on. Sorry, I should call it an excavator or to actually go and unload the wagons. There's no complicated unloading equipment or anything like that. So it's real simple stuff to model.
Yeah. No, I think this would work.
Excellent.
I see this working.
Right then, actual track laying next.
Hi, I'm Richard from Craft Lighting, and we're here to brighten your day. We use high quality LEDs with up to 50,000 hour lifespan. The lights have a range of colour from warm white, daylight to bright sunlight, and in each setting you have up to 10 levels of brightness. With a range of lights from magnifiers to flexible gooseneck lights to freestanding table lights, we have lights to suit all requirements. Power is supplied by a USB cable to either an adapter plug, battery pack or a computer, and our battery powered lights have a charge of up to 6 hours. For all your modelling lighting needs, visit us at some of the UK Premier exhibitions or at craft-lighting.co.uk.
So I've got the other guys set on building platforms, and I'm going to start working on laying the track here. I'm focusing initially on the junction, because that is quite a critical part of getting this layout to work and function as we want it to do in terms of track plan. So I've left my rough track layout in place so I can see the direction of travel. And like I say, I've got to be very careful to make sure we get the angle right coming out of here so we fit it all together. We're going to work through putting the junction together first. So what I'm actually going to do is assemble all these points with all their rail joiners first. Putting them all the rail joiners in the right place. Now obviously being a crossover, where these 2 points actually sit face to face on the layout there, we're going to need insulated rail joiners in the middle of those, so we can't have any short circuits there. So a rail joiner there. And I've just remembered a little trick with these ones as well, with large radius points. Actually you need to nip the end off one insulated rail joiner because there isn't enough space for it to fit otherwise. Just nip the end off that. Slide it onto there, that's better. I'll do the same on the other one going the other way as well. Just make sure then that we actually get the tracks lining up as closely as possible on these. There we go, so that's those insulated rail joiners in place there. Now we also need insulated rail joiners on here as well, because what we're going to do is we're going to be actually having these so that the track is all live all the time. So from a DCC operation point of view. So we'll just lock these all onto here. So that's the main crossover now set up there with its insulated rail joiners. Now the rest of the rail joints on that now need standard metal rail joiners. So we're going to fit all those on as well. Put them onto the end of the rails. So that's all those done, and then now we can set up our third point here, which also now don't need any rail joiners on that end because they'll join straight onto there. And like we did before, there's going to be metal rail joiners on the outside rails and insulated ones on the inside rails. So metal one there, metal one there, insulated one on the inside, another insulated one on the inside there. Then join them all together. And we've got a crossover set up and ready to go into place on the layout now. So we move on to the mainline track next. And the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take away the end sleeper from this length of track because we're going to be putting a copper clad sleeper in there so we can actually fix the rail perfectly at the end of the run there. So we just flip that over. Take the last sleeper off, like so, and then we'll just temporarily line that up there for the moment. Because what we need to do now is I'll leave the pencil marks visible on top of the baseboards here as well, so I can make sure that when I'm doing things like laying points as well, that I can see where the baseboard supports are. So, for example, if I was to move these points along to here, then that would be a bad place for the points because we've got the pencil lines here which indicate where the cross member is underneath the baseboard, therefore we won't be able to put the points there because I have no access for the point motors underneath. So we can position the points correctly to make sure they're away from all those cross members whilst also making sure the track lines up with the original formation here as well. So I'm just going to do that slight turn in like that with the track. So we set the points there, which means they're all clear of everything, and we can now chop this piece of track down. I'll cut the sleeper web underneath. Then to make a really nice neat join, I'm just going to use the craft knife just to cut the rail chair off the first sleeper now. And we also need to trim some sleeper ends so they fit around the points. Then we can line those up and you'll see that the where we cut the chairs away, that sleeper will now fit underneath the rail joiners on the section of track. Now I'm just going to have a quick look down the layout there because I can see we're not at the right angle here yet. Okay, that's about right for the track formation there. Right, so I'm now ready to bring in my first roll of cork. And the cork sheets, they come in 3 foot by 2 foot rolls. Let's make a little bit of space for that. Lift that initial track formation out of the way. So just grab the pencil so that on the cork, now that we've got it positioned where it's going to be, that I can mark the location of the cross members here as well. Because what I don't want to be doing is having planned out where all this track goes to now actually end up bringing it in the wrong place. That would be bad. So now in theory, I shouldn't be able to get it in the wrong place because the length of the track should set everything in the correct place anyway, but nevertheless, better safe than sorry. Right, so we're now ready to temporarily pin some of this down. I'm not going to put the pins all the way through at this point, just in case I need to come back and adjust slightly later on in the build. We'll just get this track tacked down into place though. And the other thing we've got to do, got to make all the holes for all the point motors here as well. But before I do that, I'm going to do this section of track and get that lined up. We'll follow the same method as I did before. So we'll trim the underside of the rail chairs on the end sleeper. And we take away the first sleeper at the other end of the section of track altogether. And make sure there's space for the copper clad sleepers to go at the end there, which there is. And again, like I just did with the other section of track, we're just going to tack that into place. And we can worry about getting all these pins down fully later on. The other thing I'm just going to do here is I'm just going to tack this cork down on that end, just to keep it a little bit flatter for this next part of the process. And I'm now going to put all the holes in for the point motors here. So to do that, it's a bit of a multi-stage process. So first, I mark the outer points of the point tyre bars in pencil. On each one of these. Like so. And then we can take all these points away now. I'll draw a line between those markers and then put a cross at the centre. Do that again for this one. So a line through between the two pointers and a cross at the centre. So that now gives me an alignment point for where I can drill a 9mm diameter hole straight through the baseboard, which will give me plenty of clearance then to put a point motor underneath and for it to actually actuate the point going left and right underneath the board. So we're just going to grab a drill, get those holes made, points back in place, and then we can continue that way with track laying. Holes are drilled, points can go back in now, and then we can actually get on with making some progress down this layout. Now this is obviously the fiddly bit, getting all these points into place, but well worth taking our time over. That's nice, it's perfectly aligned over the holes as it should do. I'd be disappointed with myself if that didn't happen. I've just got to join all these rail joiners up all at the same time. Make sure everything's gone in correctly, which it has. And there we go. Section 1 complete. And we can now move along straight into plain track laying. So first things first, take the rail chairs off again. And then we need to trim the edges of the sleepers so they fit around the points. Then we can now join this up. Just take a little bit of adjustment sometimes just to get the sleepers to go underneath the rail joiners there, but the plan works. We can pin all this down. And then to finish this bit off, I'm just going to cut the cork away because I can reuse all this cork on the next section of track then. It means that my cork sheets go further. Just use the craft knife just to run along the edge of the track all the way along. Just like that. And the same down the other side. We've got a neatly finished section of track, even more neatly finished when I take out the middle. And the reason I'm taking all this cork out of the middle and from around the edges is that I want to mimic the ballast shoulder we have on the rest of the layout. And by doing this, it gives a really neat and realistic ballast shoulder, just to look like the real railway. Okay, I've got to just copy, paste, repeat all the way that way now. I've got lots of plain line to lay to get all the track laid to join up to the other end of the layout, and let's go and find out how to get on with the platforms.
Okay, so here's one I just prepared earlier, one completed basic structure. Just got the little elements to put along the side of the platforms at the moment, but Ben and I start with just building up the main structures. Fairly straightforward. We've got a base part there. We've got the elements, the supports that go in the centre, two of those super glued in there. I tend to put the end ones on at the very end, so I've got side supports here which go in next, so I'm just going to put a little bead of super glue along the end here, not too much so it doesn't bleed over the top when you push it all together. Just keeps it a bit tidier. And remember not to put any on the pips that stick out, because otherwise the glue will stick out like a sore thumb. So you don't want that. So basically what we're doing is we're now going to ease this up, supports, gently. By the time I plug them all in together, top end is just there and it's ready just to be held in place whilst the glue sticks. Off we go. How are you doing, Ben? Because you're cleaning up the parts as you go as well.
Yes, that is something that's very important to remember. You will need to sand all of the parts if you're building one of these yourself, just to make sure everything gets a nice fit, little leftovers from the sort of manufacturing process, but they're, you know, quite straightforward to put together. You eventually get the hang of it. I mean, Mark and I have developed slightly different techniques for gluing these things together, but yeah. And as Mark said, you get nice ready-made platforms in a few minutes, really.
Right, so these holes will end up having, so I'll show you on the completed ones, you can see the holes are there. You've then got these supports that then pop in underneath here. Just pop in the holes like that. Each one, and you can't get around the wrong way because they only fit in one way. They go in like that, and then you've got little lintel supports that go along the tops, which I haven't got out of the pack yet, but we'll do those shortly. But yeah, these just pop in here, glue them in place. You can see that it's all starting to come together then, and then there'll be little supports that go along all the way along there as well, that just rest on the top edge of these supports. And then we've also got the scaffolding style 3D printed elements as well, which we can add to a section of the platform at the far end, just so we can give a sort of variation of a theme, if you like.
Yeah, just for speed, really, we're just going to leave those off for now, just so we can get the platforms down and we can start to get a bit of a better image of what the station will actually look like, see if our plan is really going to work when we start to put some of the large elements down.
And it's really quite, they go together really quite quickly, these kits. It's probably taking about 10 minutes for each one. And there's all manner of different finishes, so whilst we're using the finish that we've gotten here, but there's block edge, obviously the brick finish, and there's terminus platforms, there's ramps, there's main platforms, all sorts available from the Key Model World shop. As I say, these ones are just the modern day version that we're planning to use for this platform here. But if you go to the Key Model World shop, you can see all the various different options that you've got.
Yeah, Lanark side, that was where we debuted them, wasn't it? So
It
you've
was.
got the terminus style on Lanark side, if you're curious, of course.
So that's all coming together nicely. All I've got to do now is put the ends there, and then this bit here will just then secure on top and look exactly, in theory, look exactly like that. The good thing with using super glue is that it pretty much goes together and holds in place as soon as you marry the parts together, which is a good thing from what we're doing, because we're trying to do these quite quickly and get them done in a fairly timely fashion.
Yes.
But
Well,
you might feel happier using PVA or wood glue or something like that. Gives you a little extra time to move parts around if you need to. But my experience of doing these today is that you don't really need that, because the fit and finish of these is actually very good. Go together really, really quite smartly. So I'll just put these, marry these into here.
Second bottle of super glue would help though.
So there's a tool station just across the road from our super glue, and there is another problem. You're now in my way.
What?
Not demanding at all.
No,
What's down my end? I've got to lay some track.
so demanding.
Are you modelling on a budget of £500 or less? At TMC we have you covered with thousands of lovingly pre-owned items, from locomotives to wagons, rolling stock and plastic kits, and much more. Look out for new listings on our website every Friday. And to be sure that you don't miss out, subscribe to our newsletter. Alternatively, if you're looking to sell your collection, get in touch with us by email or telephone for a customised quote. For more details, including how to get in touch with our helpful members of staff, visit themodelcentre.com.
Moment of truth, will the track line up or not? The answer is not. I'm not quite in line where I should be, but this is why I've done what I've done, and I've actually laid all this track loose at the moment, so I can slew it around and move it about if I need to get the right alignment. So at the moment, as you can see, I'm pretty much a whole track across from where I should be. What I thought I'd do is get this in a position where we set this end up, and then we can adjust the flow of the track through the layout once I set this end up now, because we've got enough flexibility with these yard lengths of track that we can move it around and adjust as necessary and make it fit to the platforms. And that's actually going to be easier than trying to just guess how it's going to fit together at the end of the day. So we're now at that point where I can cut this end of the track. And my trusty cutters in. The downside of being right-handed with that cut. So we can now take that section away, remove its last sleeper like we did before. And then we can line that up there. And what I'm going to do temporarily is I'm just going to go and grab a track pin, and even though we haven't got the cork down here, I'm just going to loosely pin this at this end. In fact, actually I might get the cork, that's probably a better plan. We'll get the cork as well, whiz that underneath the track. We'll do the job properly, proper job. Slide that underneath the track. Like so. And then we can grab the track pins. It's got to follow the alignment of the track here. So this track here isn't parallel to the edge of the board. So if I was just to put this track straight like that, then I'm going to with a really nasty join there, which won't work for the trains coming through. So I've actually just got to follow that alignment out there, just for the first few sleepers, like that. And now we've done those 2 track pins there, I can now start to turn the track if I need to actually make it line up and give me a nice straight run all the way down to the other end of the layout. Looking down here, I'm not far off, but I'm not perfect. If we just run down this end now, just going to have to slew those points a little bit, so I may have to open out my holes there, but that should be about right for those. And then grab my pliers from this end. So now I need to unpin my track here. Again, this is why I didn't actually pin it fully at this end. We can now bring that track across as well to start matching the alignment. And use these track gauges, which come in the PGM modelled platform kits, which are quite handy. You see, we're already getting things better than they were before. I apologise, I keep skipping up and down the layout. It's a long length of track that's all going to be done all together at the same time. If I don't do that, it won't work at some point. So, and then now, you'll see we can actually start to line up some platforms along here as well. I get a sense of how the layout's going to start looking. It's already looking not too shabby, I think. I've got now done the inside track. Now I've got to do the outside track as well. And then once I'm happy with those, we'll get it all pinned down nice and straight. I'm actually going to go and get a stick of wood from upstairs to make that centre section straight, because it is a long run. I do actually want this bit to be straight, whereas other parts of the track on this layout, I wanted them kind of ease and curve around. This bit needs to be dead straight through the platform, so a long straight edge will help with that. I'm just going to finish this section of track off from here to here, get the second line in, and then we can finish it all off. Not bad for 4 hours work today, plus an hour for building baseboards, 5 hours work. We've got baseboards, we've got track, we've got platforms, and a much more complicated track plan than I originally planned to lay when I came in the office this morning.
It's looking incredible. It really is coming together, isn't it? And yes, you're right, with the extra line there, the siding and what have you as well. It's all coming together very nicely.
Yeah. I think it definitely makes a difference having those extra sidings now. I mean, when I'd first planned this out, I was going like real minimalist in terms of the track plan. I think I was considering the timescale we had to actually build the layout and go, well, actually, I've got to be realistic about, can we actually build this in the next now 6 weeks?
Yes.
Well, 5 weeks and 6 days after today. The timescale is ticking away all the time.
Timescale's ticking away, but you know, we've got 3 baseboards here with track on, on cork, pinned down.
Yep.
Platforms are almost complete.
Yep.
They'll just need painting and filling and what have you where necessary and putting in place. But other than that, and then the base layer, actually, you can start to already see the level of progress and how quickly we can turn it around.
Yeah, well, I can see from the point where we are now that within an hour, hour and a half, I could probably have this whole thing wired and running.
Yeah.
So I could actually run a train through the seam, which is our primary target for today, to get a train to run through this layout. That's where I'd like to get to.
Yeah.
But I also really like a couple of things we've done with this as well. One is I like the bay platform idea. I wasn't keen when it was first put. I just think I don't know quite how that's going to work with the track plan, whether it even fit with the platforms. But actually, it's got a lot of value operationally, and like you said earlier, actually we can just put a crossover in the back now on the super long storage yard.
Yeah.
We can change the train over around there, so that's no problem. And the other thing, oddly, that I really like, which is such a small thing, it probably doesn't actually matter to anyone else, but actually this line here, it's just got ever such a gentle curve through it, so it's not dead straight.
Right.
I thought, being a freight line, it'd just be nice if it didn't exactly follow the other sidings, whereas the 2 sidings connected to the aggregate loading point, I've kept them dead straight, thinking actually they're newly laid. I was looking at some photographs the other day of Longport sidings, which Colas is now using for land recovery services trains. And actually look at the sidings there, and literally all they've got there is a massive concrete apron and a couple of tracks, one either side of it,
Yep.
and then there's 4 dead straight sidings. But from the aerial shots I've seen, they do look dead straight.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to get a bit of that kind of new and old railway going together kind of thing as well. So
Yeah, I can see that all coming together quite quickly, actually.
yeah. And we fit a 5-car set in here.
And a 5-car set will stop there, which is
Yep.
good, which was
Yes.
you know, the aim, wasn't it, to be able to get one of these units to be able to stop.
Yeah.
This
Exactly,
or
yeah.
something shorter.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
the aim
so-
was to have, one of my aims at least, was that we'd have the Nova 1 set running one way, and we'll have the 68 with the Mark 5 set running the other way.
Yeah.
We could have a few other trains obviously running as well. And one of the thoughts I had with the Bay platform is when we went up to Doncaster back at the end of May, and we noticed there was a Class 150 which seemed to be shuttling back and forth between Sheffield and Adwick.
Oh, that's right.
And
yeah.
Adwick seemed like a really random place for a train to be terminating at, but it did it all the time.
Yeah.
So that would make sense to have something like a 2-car 150 running in and out of
Why
doing
not?
short
Yeah.
turns back and forth to somewhere down or up the East Coast main
Yeah,
line.
and it just adds to the operational variety of the whole
Yeah.
setup,
Yeah.
which is good. It gives a purpose to the layout a bit more.
Yeah.
I know the cement works is a good purpose, but
Yeah.
this just adds
It's now multi-purpose.
something else to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Right. We need to get back on with this.
We do.
Time is ticking.
Got to sort these out.
You've got to finish building platforms. I need to do a lot of wiring, and I'm having a bit of a moment. I want to get a train running.
Well, good luck.
Yes. Thanks, Mark. He's helping.
Always.
Right. Divide and conquer. Yeah.
2 right. I'm going to go and start doing lintels and things.
Fantastic. The first step then for wiring up this layout is to prepare the baseboard joints. Now I've already got the DCC Concepts set copper-clad sleepers here, which have got the solder pads on them, which makes it a really easy task to do these. So I put a 1mm hole through each side. So what we'll do is each one of those gets slotted underneath the track, like so. And then using my pliers, I'm just going to put a pair of track pins through either side in those holes. So that will secure the copper-clad sleeper to the baseboard. Press that down properly in just a moment. One on the other side. So that now secures the copper-clad sleeper to the baseboard. Now you can see there, I've actually taken the first track pin out to give me a little bit of flexibility. So I'm just going to make sure this baseboard is set exactly right before we actually solder it in place, which it now is. So I've already preheated the soldering iron. Standard solder. Apply a bit of heat to the edge of the rail and the copper-clad sleeper there. Add in the solder. And then I'm just going to use my pliers again just to hold that in place whilst the solder sets. So this is more difficult when you're aligning rails across a baseboard with 2 separate pieces of track. Normally the way I'd do this would be to lay the track straight across like I've done further down the layout, then put the copper-clad sleepers in, then cut the track, because it means we get a much more consistent join and less chance of it being slightly out of alignment. Now that's not too bad, so I feel running my finger over the top of that. We're pretty close. So now continue on to the other side. And the solder in. And now that's set, I just got to do that another 27 times to get all the copper-clad sleepers in across the entire length of the new extension. So I'll whiz a few more of these in on this end of the board, then I'll show you how to do the wiring here as well. So we actually get a full sense of what's going off here, and then you can get a cup of tea, I can continue working hard with the soldering iron to get all this working. next job is to actually make all the holes for the wires to go down underneath the baseboard so we can connect everything to the main power bus, which feeds the whole layout, which I've got to put in. So I'm going to use a 2.5mm drill now, and I'm going to work my way across everywhere where I need a wiring feed and put a hole through the baseboard. So start in here, working my way across. In place. So with all the holes made, we can now actually start adding the wires to the sides of the rails and feeding them through. Now there is one thing I need to check underneath the board before I add any wires, and that's which way around I've done the black and red for this layout, because if I end up doing the black and red the wrong way around on here, it's going to get confusing. So we'll check which way around the wires are. So up here we've got black to the front, red to the back. So I'll repeat that same process on the other side now as well, and on the rest of the boards as well. So all the wiring matches all the way through the layout, which is an important step forward. So back up to the top next, and we'll start adding those wires. So wiring, I'm following a similar method to what I've used for pretty much every layout I've built, which is to use black and red 7-strand flexible cable to do the droppers down from the track to the main power bus. Gives a nice flexible wire that will do that job. I've got a pair of wire cutters, one of the ones from DCC Concepts. You just very simply put the wire in the gate, pull them like that, and it strips the wire bare. I then twist the wires together. And the little trick that I do, which helps me to just solder them onto the side, is when I've done that, I actually just put a right angle bend in the end of the wire. Now the reason I do that is when it comes to actually attaching them to the side of the rail, it means you've got a much firmer way of holding the wire to get it against the side of the rail, whereas if it was a straight wire like that, you're kind of trying to do that and push the wire at the right angle and it just doesn't quite work. Whereas by putting that 90-degree bend in, just gives you a much easier way of joining the wire to the side of the rail, or at least I find anyway. Next, I'm going to tin that wire. So just heat a little bit of solder up, let it flow down the wire, and do the same to the side of the rail as well. Just a small amount of solder onto the rail there. Now having put the solder onto the wire and to the rail, it means I only need 2 hands when I actually solder the rail onto the wire. Just hold that in place. Heat it with a soldering iron. And let the solder cure and set. Now, to do the other side of the rail, we're going to do that with red wire instead. So it's clearly different when we're underneath the layout. It means there's no chance to get the wires the wrong way around when we join everything together. Exactly the same method. Tin the wire there, then tin the rail. Bring the two together. And now we've got those attached to the rails there. We can cut these wires down in length. They haven't got to go very far because the connectors are going to be about here, so not very far for them to travel. But I will cut them over length because experience dictates that actually, if I cut these too short, it's a lot harder work to extend a wire than it is to cut one shorter. And then we're just going to slot those through the baseboard, like so. And then the reason that I've bared more wire than perhaps you think I should do should hopefully become clear, in that actually you've only got the wire itself showing now above the baseboard, which means it's much less obvious above the baseboard rather than if you had the whole wire insulation coming up above the board as well. So it makes it a neater, tidier job there. That's one track done. Now I've got to copy, paste, repeat and do that all the way along the layout, put all the droppers in all the way through, and then we'll be able to join everything together underneath, connect it all to a power bus, and magically the whole layout will work, he says. Touch wood.
Key Publishing is a leading specialist in modelling magazines, including monthly titles, Hornby Magazine and Airfix Model World. New issues are on sale on the first Thursday of every month, plus we have a broad range of special publications written by authors including Pete Waterman, Dan Emerson and Simon Bendall. Our books collection features locomotive profiles and railway operations, while our latest release is the full story of TT120, told by former Hornby marketing and product development manager Simon Kohler. Check out the full range online at keymodelworld.com/shop. Well, that's not a bad start for 6 hours work today and 1 hour yesterday building baseboards to have, well, the whole thing now works. That's amazing, isn't it?
That's not bad.
I'd say the whole thing. There's a few more wires to go, but
Yeah, but we've got trains moving on the new section and the old section.
Yep.
And it all interacts with each other.
Yeah, everything runs through. It all does its job properly.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good start to the East Coast Cement. I keep calling it West Coast Cement. It is now East Coast.
East Coast.
Project and moving that forward. A reminder that all the platforms and the Thirsk station building, they're all available from the Key Model World shop. And you also might have noticed that our limited edition production sample of 66794 running around on here as well. Hopefully we'll have a few spares of those once they've arrived here in stock with us, and once we sort out the pre-orders. Do immerse yourself in what the Key Model World shop has to offer. It has loads of laser cut kits from PGM Models and all the Rusty Rails modelling products as well, which we'll be using later on in the build, plus a whole collection of limited editions. But now though, I have more good news.
I know where this is going.
Be ready for good news. So tomorrow we've got a pack up to go to the GB Rail Freight event at the Severn Valley Railway, which will be East Coast Cement's last showing in its original format and its 19-foot 6-inch format.
Yep.
We have to pack all this up again, including all this new section, because I need the legs for the weekend.
The legs. So we've got to take a look. Are all the joints in place? Have you cut all the tracks? No.
But there's a few things to do. But anyway, thank you very much for watching part 1 of Series 14. We hope you enjoyed what we've built so far here on East Coast Cement. There'll be much more coming in part 2 when we go into focus on putting in the overhead catenary, which is going to be a really fun job for me. Yes?
Oh, yeah.
I was volunteered for that.
Well
wasn't I?
volunteered.
Yeah. I was volunteered and volunteered myself for it. So catenary is going in. Then we get on with
help
ballasting.
unbox it.
Oh, you help unboxing it? Oh, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. You did help unbox it at the beginning of the video as well.
Yeah.
You took it out of the box it came in. So
Very helpful about that.
you were helping, yes.
And I'll provide more support from the sidelines.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate that. So,
Anytime.
yeah, plenty of support here, which is always good. We've got a good support network. But anyway, we will see you in part 2 as we move on with the project to extend East Coast Cement. Personally, I can't wait to see this thing come together.
I look forward to this.
It's looking actually better than I thought it would when we first started today.
Yeah.
More sidings, more operation in the station. It's going to be great. We'll see you next time.